Got to ask how Joel Embiid's not your top 50 though, or your reasoning for it.
Yeah, the reasoning is, I think some of it a lot. You mentioned baked in with Curry, right? I think a lot of stuff is baked in with Embiid. I think like um, there's always been a lot of hype around Embiid. I think sort of baked in MVP type stuff that doesn't always play out due to injury or just other people also being in the MVP category that get the votes. Um, and sort of not being okay, so not being a guard actually hurts in sports card investing, which sucks because Embiid is like arguably the best player in the league
Yeah,
consistently. And so but the real reason is that like his prices are super high. So really the only thing to spike him is going to be a championship. And so the only reason Embiid's not in my top 50 is because I just don't think the Sixers really have a realistic shot of winning a championship anytime soon. And so and like if I were gonna put, you know, $1,000 to $4,000 down on like a solid Embiid rookie, which is kind of what it's gonna take to really make some money off of Embiid. Um, in order to make that back and then some, the Sixers are gonna have to win a championship. But if you think again, if you think the Sixers are going to win a championship, that's a play. Like that's a
right.
huge play because Embiid wins a championship, and now all of a sudden he's other level. Like he kind of can do no wrong for the rest of his career, and his card prices will probably never. They would probably like 4 or 5x and then never come down from there. So if you own
Right.
Embiid right now, or if you buy Embiid right now, well, if you own Embiid right now, you're sitting pretty. But if you got to kind of have a lot of balls to buy Embiid right now for that reason.
Gotcha. Yeah, my thought process is just and it's funny, obviously looking at it from an investment standpoint versus just like NBA statistical standpoint is very different. But um, I'm not huge on the bandwagon that they could win a chip either. But I like Tobias Harris. Thibault is probably the best perimeter defender in the league. Um, I think they have some good pieces, and if we look back and in the off scenario that it's like, hey, Joel Embiid just won a championship with Ben Simmons sitting out for the entire year, and he averaged 32 and 11 as a 7-1 center. It could be one of the best seasons of all time. But I guess that is a huge risk to take, assuming they even make it deep in the playoffs. I guess that's where my valuation would be for him. And then
Yeah,
you mentioned,
no, not to cut you off, but Embiid, like, just to correct myself, like his Prism PSA 10, 2014 Prism based PSA 10 base is around $300 right now. It's actually up 41% over the last 30 days, like due to his performance. So if you would have bought Embiid a month ago,
yeah,
then you actually could make 41%. So it isn't. I wasn't totally accurate a second ago. I think what I was thinking is more like his higher end, like his Prism Silver. Let's check his Prism Silver. Yeah, so his Prism Silver is it's up 12% over the last 30 days. It's $2,100 in PSA 10. So it just kind of depends. Like the reason why is because the reason why not to buy the base uh, is because of the higher pop count. Like it's just easier to get. Lower population count on the silver, that's what drives up the price. And that's going to be a rule that really kind of goes across all players. But yeah, I mean, the reason I ask you about him is because it's like, should he be in my top? Like, is this a guy that I'm just like totally missing out on having in my top 50? Like, am I an idiot for not having him in my top 50? And considering that his prices have gone up over the last 30 days, 41%. Maybe that answers my question. Like maybe, like, does he keep this up, Connor, over the next 3-4 months of the NBA season to where it just keeps going up? And like, is he a buy now where there's actually some room in that, maybe that not that high end card, but that Prism and some of his other base cards?
yeah, I'm assuming that and not a large portion, but I'm assuming there's a small portion of where you're mentioning that guards are more valuable than posts. Um, Obviously, there's a lot of factors for that, but I'm assuming a small portion is probably durability. And that's obviously a worrisome part for Embiid.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're looking long term for Joel Embiid, as dominant as he is right now, and he's probably the best I don't know if we're counting KD as a 7-footer, but he's probably the best 7-footer in terms of skill, touch, everything that we've ever seen. Um, I mean, I can't think of anyone else that can hit a step back three that's 7'1" consistently. Um, I think we have to factor in how long can his body take the stress that it's taking night in and night out for a number of years. Short term, I think you're probably spot on just because we kind of know that Philadelphia is not really where it needs to be a contender, especially with the upside. Obviously, is that if they win without Ben Simmons, it looks amazing. But the downside and probably the reality of it is that they need to make a move and get some pieces around them so they can win now.
Yeah, so I've thrown us off track a little bit here, but like Giannis is 27, Embiid's 27, Jokic is 26. If you look at Giannis's same card, and Giannis is 1 year before Embiid in terms of his rookie cards. So Giannis's Prism 2013 base PSA 10 is $1,400. And that is not far off from where it was at this time last year. So basically like the championship caused it to spike huge, and it has since kind of come back down to where it was. And that's just kind of how this thing always flows. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's appropriate though. Like you've got Giannis 1,400, same card for Embiid 300. Embiid doesn't have that championship. So maybe Embiid is the better buy. Like if maybe comparing Giannis and Embiid, if you're looking at making money over the next like 3 months, 4 months, cross your fingers with injury. But if Embiid stays healthy, it looks like maybe there's more room for growth in that Embiid investment than there is in the Giannis. So.
Yeah, but I mean, if we're assuming that Giannis has a chance to win a ring this year, wouldn't we expect to see a crazy spike just like you saw? So maybe I don't know. Maybe Giannis is the better buy there because they have I mean, they could very easily win the championship again this year. And if we look at Giannis going on a streak of winning multiple ships in multiple years, the things that's going to do for already how dominant he is and the stats that he puts up, I don't know. I
Yeah,
might
he
say
gets into
Giannis.
maybe top 10, he gets into maybe top 6, top 7 of all time if Giannis wins another championship this year or next year. I think he's in that category. So let's break this down. All right. Embiid is a buy now if he stays healthy and really doesn't have to do anything major in the playoffs for you to make money off him. Giannis is the better buy of the two based on who's more likely to win the championship. That's kind of what we're saying.
Agreed.
So that's interesting. Thank you for helping me break down Embiid because he was, and Booker, by the way, because I've been thinking a lot about Booker, Embiid, and Jimmy Butler lately. Like, am I missing something? Like, because I don't have any Embiid cards, I don't have any Booker cards, and I don't have any Jimmy Butler cards. So let's toss Butler in to kind of wrap up this discussion, and then I have at least one more question I want to ask you about a particular player before we sign off.
Sure, yeah. I think you're probably spot on with Jimmy. And I love Jimmy Butler. I think he's an absolute dog, and I love the dogs of the NBA. But we saw an incredible performance from him in the bubble, right? He was literally taking over, which is something that I thought was cool because when you look at Jimmy Butler, he's not this fluid, eccentric, shifty scorer, right? He's more get to his spots, hit the mid range, get to the rim. Which in today's NBA is very difficult to be a consistent. I mean, he was putting up 30, 30, 30 just in the finals. For me, something about his game, as much as I love him on defense, I think he's a great leader. I don't think it translates to a ton of success, especially this late in his career, as your number one scoring option. Now, if Jimmy was like 2 years younger and we could see Tyler Hero a little bit more developed and they had a younger Kyle Lowry, I think they're a very, very serious threat in that scenario. But I think where everyone is in their careers right now, Tyler's still got some growing to do. He's going to be a stud. But, Kyle Lowry's on the downhill. Jimmy Butler's probably on the downhill. I think where you're thinking is in the right spot.
Yeah. Okay. So if I had like an affinity for Jimmy Butler, like I mean, I'm like you, I like Jimmy Butler, but like he's not. I don't like. I have a huge affinity for Giannis and for Draymond Green and for like Magic Johnson. Like those are like the guys that are near and dear to my heart. For example, Jimmy Butler is just not. He's a good player, but like take him or leave him. So if I was, because I'm on the fence about Jimmy Butler as an investor, my tiebreaker is part of my tiebreaker is like I don't love him. I don't go to bed like thinking about getting excited about watching Jimmy Butler play, or wake up in the morning and excited about watching Jimmy Butler in particular. So while I do think there could be money to be made on Jimmy Butler, I'm not going to buy him, and he's not in my top 50 kind of for the reasons that you stated. And I think you do have to take into consideration, like, if I am stuck with this card, am I pissed off or am I okay about it?
Right.
And so if I'm stuck with a card that I lost 50% on and I don't really love the player, then I'm like, well, that sucks. Versus like, oh, I love the player. So great having you on, man. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I enjoyed talking. Obviously, it's good to speak with you. I'd love to do it again sometime. So hopefully we can find a date that I can wake up at 5:30 again, and we can make it work. But I appreciate you having me. Tell Kate I said hello, and then we'll talk soon.
We'll do. Sports Card Strategy Show with Paul Hickey and Connor Barnett. Brought to you by MarketMoversApp.com by Sports Card Investor. Go there, save 20% by using the promo code no offseason, all lowercase. And when you pair that with our investment report at nooffseason.com/invest, you have the analysis and the data that you need to make your sports card investment decisions. And thanks again for watching and listening. And one more thing for Connor. I see the Sawgrass poster in the back. So when I'm back in Tennessee, we might need to link up and play some golf. Because,
absolutely. I played in 30 degrees.
One thing I don't do enough of.
Yeah.
Did you really?
30 degrees. Yeah. So we need to make it happen. It's over in Trenton, Georgia, like 25, 30 minutes from downtown Chattanooga. So greens were rock hard. It was terrible.
All right. Well, I'm glad you got some swings in, man. All right. Thanks again. Talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Paul.
See you, man.